Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you're all having a great day. And welcome to the 10 most horrific Valentine's Day occurrences. Warning, this contains a lot of graphic material that may not be suitable for all viewers. You've been warned. Number 10. The North Illinois University shooting of 2008. On February 14th, 2008, in DeKalb, Illinois, a student, Stephen Kazmierczak, opened fire shortly after 3 p.m. using an arsenal of guns. His arsenal contained a 12-gauge shotgun, a 19mm semi-automatic Glock, a .380 ACP P232, and a .380 ACP CF380. Kazmierczak horrifically managed to kill 6 people, including himself, and injured 21 other people. The whole incident happened on the campus's Cole Hall between 3:05 p.m. and 3:11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Kazmierczak entered a lecture hall with 120 students in it during an oceanography session. The incident erupted when Kazmierczak opened fire into the crowd of students using his shotgun. Then once he did that, he shot at his instructor. Some of the students were trying to escape, and some of them were hiding under or in between seats. When Kazmierczak paused to reload, students shouted, "He's reloading," and tried to escape. Others were still hiding in shock. After using all 6 shotgun rounds, he continued shooting with a Glock pistol, firing approximately 50 rounds. Kazmierczak shot himself before the police arrived. A total of 25 people were shot, 4 died directly at the place of the incident, including the perpetrator, and 2 died shortly after taking off to a hospital. This shooting is ranked as the 5th deadliest university shooting in the United States history. Number 9. The murder of Tiana Notice in 2009. A 25-year-old prodigy student early in her life was skipping 2 classes and doing the first year of college while at the same time finishing her last year of high school. After her ex-boyfriend James Carter slashed the tires of her car and left a creepy notice on her front door, he returned on February 14th, 2009 and viciously stabbed her many times into her chest. 6 months into their relationship, Carter was sentenced to 5 months in jail for domestic abuse of his previous girlfriend, and Tiana learned he also had a rap sheet for other numerous violent crimes, including assault. Tiana's dad speculated that he was cheating on her. They broke up and Tiana was forced to take out a restraining order against him. Carter was furious that she took out a restraining order on him and started accusing Tiana of assaulting him, kicking his headlights or taillights off, and punching him in the face. Tiana was harassed with phone calls, texts, and emails, and because of that, Tiana had to visit the police station 33 times in 6 weeks, but nobody took her serious. Before the murder, Carter was previously stalking her, showing up wherever she was, out with her friends, at work, or just grocery shopping. Carter was there. Tiana once returned to her home finding a notice saying, "Tiana, forgive me. I never cheated on you. If I'm lying, may God take my life. Forgive me for everything else I've done." On Valentine's Day evening, Tiana was returning to her apartment to pack a bag. Carter was lurking around the apartment complex and then stabbed her 20 times, twice in the heart as she was going to the front door. She still somehow found the strength to call 911. She was rushed to the local hospital but died after losing too much blood. Number 8. The murder in Belton Bridge Park, 2010. This case of a cheating wife hiring a hitman and using Valentine's Day trust to lure her 5th husband to his death is actually pretty crazy, and it just amuses me what some people are capable of. She was ready to go through all this just to get her husband's $500,000 life insurance. Mother of 3, Stacy Shoke, 38 years old, contacted her co-worker Lenitra Ross to help her find a hitman. They ended up finding a personal trainer who calls himself Mr. Results. In pretense of exchanging Valentine's cards in a romantic spot, Richard Shoke was lured into an isolated spot in Belton Bridge Park, about 68 miles northeast from Atlanta, Georgia. Instead, Reginald Coleman, aka Mr. Results, was waiting there and shot Mr. Shoke to death. The 2 women arranged this entire ordeal over just 1 meal at a Mexican restaurant. Stacy Shoke gave her coworker a house and gave Coleman $10,000 as a bounty. Later in court, she admitted that she's responsible for the plot against her husband and that she had an affair in order to avoid a death penalty. She was sentenced to life in prison. Ross never admitted to her role in the plot, but also sentenced to life, while Coleman pleaded guilty and also ended up getting a life sentence in prison. Number 7. Arson in Cicero. February 14th, 2010. Lawrence Myers, a landlord of an apartment building in Cicero, a small suburb near Chicago, ordered his maintenance man, Marion Andre Comier, to set the building on fire in order to collect a $250,000 insurance policy and move to West Virginia. Myers was deep in debt but still swore to pay Comier for his service. Comier set the building on fire with gasoline on a back porch. It quickly spread it up the only staircase to the second floor and trapped the tenants. 7 people died, whom 6 of them were related. They all died during their sleep due to carbon monoxide intoxication while inhaling the smoke. Keep in mind that the oldest person to die in the fire was 20 years old and the youngest was just 3 days old. Myers eventually didn't show any emotion while rendering the sentence. He declined an opportunity to speak after victim impact statements were read. After being sentenced to life, Myers, who represented himself throughout the trial, told Kipperman that he was filing an appeal and had sent it through the mail. Cook County Judge Carol Kipperman said she would have sentenced Lawrence Myers to death if Illinois law still allowed such a sentence. Number 6. The Murder of Suzanne Hamilton, 2001. This story of a love for life is both saddening and shocking. During their marriage, John Hamilton drowned his wife Susan in gifts. Starting with a brand new Porsche he gave her the day they married, to exotic vacations and a beautiful house. Friends and family said that they were inseparable and very much in love even after 14 years of marriage. It's Valentine's Day 2001. John Hamilton ordered an expensive arrangement of red orchards for Susan, but never had a chance to give them to her. He says he came home between surgeries that morning to pick up his diary. What he found was horrifying. His wife lying on the bathroom ground in a pool of blood, strangled with 2 of his ties, and her head smashed so badly that parts of her brain were visible. Hamilton tried to perform CPR and called 911. When rescue workers arrived, he told them that he tried to save her life in despair. John Hamilton stated that when he had surgery around 7 a.m., then went home to exchange Valentine's cards with his wife around 8:50 a.m., but had to return for another procedure. After his second surgery, he had headed home to find his wife dead. A crucial clue was in Susan's card saying, "I bought my cards 2 weeks ago, so I guess maybe they don't seem as appropriate now, but I do love you. Have a good day, Susan." Hamilton was suspected of her murder because there was no forced entry to her house and nothing was missing. However, the two both had some enemies because they both worked at a gynecology clinic. As said by their friends, anti-abortion protesters occupied their workplace and even their home. The anti-abortion group called themselves the Army of God. They were even supporters of a sniper killing of an abortion provider in 1998. They even faxed Hamilton a wanted poster and bothered him with threatening phone calls the same week that the murder took place. Nobody except Hamilton or the blamed group know the truth to this date, and Hamilton was found guilty despite the absence of a murder weapon and proper evidence. The final trial in court took less than 2 hours, and the doctor continues to maintain his innocence. Number 5. Charles Walton, the Pitchfork Murder of 1945. This one remains a big question mark shrouded in secrecy and rumors. Walton was said to be a much appreciated member of the community in Lower Quinton Village in South Warwickshire, England. Apparently, he wasn't loved by everyone. On Valentine's Day in 1945, Walton was found with his head beaten with his own stick, throat slashed again with his own slash hook, and his body secured to the ground with his own pitchfork. A cross had been carved into his chest. Quite a horrific and out of the stereotype, which is not good at all in this case for a small English village. What emerged from a Scotland Yard investigation were persistent stories of witchcraft. Had someone suspected the county gentleman of being involved in the occult and cut the cross into his chest as some sort of Christian wrath. Nobody talked. Though rumors continue to this day, the persistent visits by curious tourists over the years mean Walton now resides in an unmarked grave. Number 4. The shooting of Reva Steenkamp, 2013. A lot of you have probably heard of this case because the suspect and convicted was Oscar Pistorius, South African double amputee Paralympic runner, quadruple gold medal winner. On February 14th, 2013, Reva Steenkamp, South African model and Pistorius' girlfriend, was shot through the bathroom door by Oscar Pistorius while she was staying over. Pistorius shot through the door thinking it was a burglar. However, many believe that's a lie and he committed manslaughter. Steenkamp was hit in the hip after falling on the ground. She was shot in the right arm, head, and while she was laying on the ground, she was struck multiple times by a cricket baton. In addition, the bullets used were black talon hollow point ammunition that expand in diameter to stop from penetrating and cause more internal damage to the target. In 2015, Pistorius was found guilty. Although he was sentenced for 15 years minimum, he was jailed for 5 years, and in October 2015, he was released into house arrest after serving just a fifth of his sentence. In December 2015, the manslaughter verdict was overturned by South Africa's Supreme Court following an appeal by the prosecution, and Pistorius was sentenced again on July 6, 2016 for another 15 years minimum. Number 3. The missionary murder of 2013. The convicted, Nathan Leuthold, a missionary, shockingly didn't move or show any emotion, maintaining the same mimic he had since the start of the 6-day trial, listening to prosecutors and waiting for judgment for execution of his wife Denise on February 14th. 2013. Leuthold killed his wife in order to be with his lover, a 20-year-old Lithuanian woman that he and Denise sponsored to study in the United States. He staged a break-in at his in-laws' home, proceeding to heartlessly execute his wife. However, the break-in and execution were staged too perfectly to be just a murder caused by a burglar. A defense attorney, Hugh Toner, said, "It makes absolutely no sense to me that you would stage a burglary and say that I don't want to do anything to harm my in-laws' furniture, but yet in their home, I am willing to kill their daughter." Leuthold was sentenced to 80 years in prison. After the trial, his parents declined to comment and hugged Diane Newton, Denise Leuthold's mother, and left the building. William Harper, a fellow missionary, said the following about Nathan Leuthold. "He was a very logical person and very much in control of his emotions. He said it was rare to see him do anything emotional." Number 2. The execution of Saint Valentine, 273. Did you know that Valentine's Day takes root in a murder? Like many things around early history after Jesus Christ's birth, the facts around Saint Valentine are highly debatable. Many believe that his approach in human history is even inspired by two different people whose personas were amalgamated together over time. Valentine was a humanist and a pacifist when it comes to Christians. In Roman times, that was highly prohibited. Valentine was also believed to perform miracles, and those two things together were leading to his capture. After being tortured, he was beheaded by the Roman Emperor Claudius, led on February 14th, 273. Number 1. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre of 1929. Prohibition era Chicago, late 1920s, results from the struggle between the North Side Irish American gang and South Side Italian gang. Italian chief gangster Al Capone seeks full control over bootlegging, gambling, and prostitution by eliminating his rivals. Rivalry between gangs climaxed on February 14th, 1929, when 7 men associated to an Irish gangster, George Bugs Moran, were shot to death by several men with Thompson submachine guns, distinguished as policemen driving an unmarked black police Cadillac. There were 4 suspects, and only 2 of them were wearing a police uniform, and the other 2 were wearing just regular clothes. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre was never officially linked to Capone, but he was believed to be a mastermind and responsible for the murders. The following victims were Peter Gusenberg, a frontline enforcer for the Moran organizations. Frank Gusenberg, the brother of Peter Gusenberg and also an enforcer. Albert Keholek, who went by the alias James Clark, was Moran's second in command. Adam Heyer, the bookkeeper and business manager of the Moran gang. Reinhard Schwimmer, an optician who had abandoned his practice to gamble on horse racing and associated with the gang. Albert Weinshank, who managed several cleaning and dyeing operations for Moran. John May, an occasional car mechanic for the Moran gang. After the real Chicago police arrived, one victim, Frank Gusenberg, was still alive and was taken to the hospital where doctors stabilized him. When he was questioned who shot him after suffering 14 bullet wounds, he replied, "No one shot me," and died 3 hours later. Either he was a real Chicago gangster and a badass, or he didn't want to snitch, which also brings him some respect. The main target was supposed to be George Moran himself. He got away because he left his Parkway Hotel apartment late, but he died much later anyways in a prison from lung cancer. The shooting took place at the SMC Cartridge Company at 2122 North Clark Street in Chicago. Now there's just a fence and a tree. And that marks the most 10 horrific events that happened on Valentine's Day. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. It took a lot of time to create this. Be sure to hit the thumbs up if this video gave you any sort of chill. Thank you so much for reaching this point in the video. You're an absolute beast. Hope to see you in the next one. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, because we got new unique videos coming your way all the time. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you all in the next one. Be ready.